Hey guys, it's been a hot minute since we spun the Wheel of Fortune, but I was guided to it today. This message is timeless, and regardless of your sign, wherever Scorpio rules in your chart is going to be significant. Okay, especially if you have Scorpio Venus, because in present day, Venus just entered Scorpio to join the season, and Mercury is going to be retrograding back into it over the next few weeks. So whenever you catch this, trust it is truly divine timing. After sitting with these cards for a while, I really felt like this is a past, present, future reading for you. The title, I was actually talking to Elisa a bit today, and at one point I had said, you can only succeed if you fail at failing. And feeling these cards, it was just so fitting. You've come such a long way from where you've been, and Spirit knows it's hard, knows you've been going through it. So I'm glad you caught this read because the future is bright. And speaking of the future, at the end of this video, we have some special events going on to finish out the 2025 year that I wanted to share. I do want to get into this message, so if you're interested, stick around for the end, and I'll go over them in a little bit of details with you guys so you know what to expect for the rest of the year. With that, let's get into these cards. Starting with the overall energy, the tops and bottoms of the deck. Of the deck of many things, we have the skull on top with the key on bottom. My doodle deck, we have the 4-leaf clover on top and the open door on bottom. And then from the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot, we have the King of Cups on top and the Emperor on bottom. With this energy, I feel like you have overcome either one very significant or multiple ego deaths where you have had to face yourself and come out new on the other side. You know, like you were going through a battle with yourself, the new and the old, the healed and the wounded. You went through a face-off. Maybe quite literally, you know, tearing mask after mask and layer after layer away until you finally got to the core of who you are. And winning this battle that you've had with the self, I feel like the divine is really gifting you a key to a new life. The fact that we have the key with the 4-leaf clover and the open door, the universe turns you into a key, and you were able to open the door with your energy, a very lucky door, a very abundant door, and have essentially mastered the King of Cups in such a way that you're coming into your true high masculine emperor energy. You know, this is high water, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, and Arian energy. Specifically, if it's Pisces, Aries, that whole season coming up next year for 2026 might be huge for you, especially for the future portion. Right? So going into this reading, just know the overall energy is literally talking about your success. It's not talking about failure. No matter how many times you've quote unquote failed in the past, it's talking about your success, which means you have literally failed at failing, which is why I love this title so much. So, success is the theme. Getting into the past energy, we have Dungeon and we have the Forge. The dungeon is quite literally imprisonment. It is where you, the victim, are stripped of everything you were and taken into your darkest, loneliest places in life, where you start to forget yourself and are simultaneously remembering the self. The forge is about being melted down from something that was outdated or useless and being repurposed into something so much more significant, so much more powerful, right? Really coming into your divine purpose. What you went through in the past, being stripped and forgetting yourself, going through this reforging process of remembering who you are. Your strength, right? We have the Strength card, we have the Hanged Man reverse, we have the Page of Wands, and the Six of Coins. What this prison looked like. Your strength came through so hard for you. You had to learn how to silence the ego and the desires and the wants that we have, right? The things that we want to put the word my in front of, right? This is my life, my partner, my job, my fill in the blank. You had to learn how to silence the my driven thoughts and allow your intuition, spirit, that voice within, the yin, to really take the wheel and become clear, right? The Hanged Man in reverse is about clarity. It's not about stagnation. It's about divine movement. As soon as you entered these imprisoned states, the forging, the reforging process really started. And you were able to go back to beginner's mind, to think for yourself, right? It's not about all the programmed thinking of the people and experiences from your earlier years in life. This is about learning to take all of those experiences through a much wider scope, a much larger lens, and look at the whole picture and decide that you can think for yourself. You don't have to think a certain way about yourself, about life, about people, about money, about whatever, the way that you were taught. You can think for yourself. You are able to receive with nothing downloads from spirit, your higher self, about who you really are and who you're meant to be. What they originally purposed you for as shadow. What you were originally purposed for, to ripple wounding and, hurt people and all that. You decided that you were going to receive from spirit at your darkest and most loneliest point and reset your thinking. Reset your masculine energy and the way you choose things, the way you do things, the way you act in situations in life. You've redefined what it is to live a human experience. Now, in the present day, we have ruin and the infinite and eternal that came out in the reverse. And ruin is about not really knowing who you are. It's about losing everything that once defined you. You may have lost a job. You may have changed roles in your living environment. You may have moved locations. You may have lost a partner. You may have lost a friend. You may have lost family. You may have lost pieces of you that defined you for a really long time. You may have lost more than one of those things, to the point that you feel like you have nothing. You might have let everything go. You might have reset completely through your past process, and everything and everyone that once was is different now. The infinite and eternal in the reverse is feeling abandoned by the divine, wondering, why God doesn't answer your prayers, or why God hates you, or why you've been punished, the way that you have, feeling like you're not heard or seen or loved by the divine. And it's a feeling, right, that this state of ruin definitely drums home. You don't know who you are. You don't know what the reason for everything was. You don't know where you're going. And your intuition is with you the whole time. The divine is with you the whole time. But you haven't necessarily been heeding it in regards to yourself. Right, when we look at the tarot, we have the Nine of Swords clarified by the Page of Pentacles, the High Priestess in the reverse, and the Four of Coins. When we're talking about having your intuition, but not being necessarily tuned into it for yourself in regards to yourself and your own life, it creates this anxiety with the Nine of Swords. You might be feeling like you're living a nightmare. You might feel nightmare-like emotions where you hate the way that you feel. You might be dealing with nightmare people and circumstances. And you have this opportunity with the Page of Coins. You're being pinged to it, right? Because your intuition is there, but you're holding on, right? You're holding on to this anxiety. And the anxiety is really coming from this place of wanting to seize opportunity, wanting to create opportunity, wanting to plant these seeds that grow, and maybe nothing's growing, right? Maybe there is no opportunity that you feel that you could seize. Maybe there is no new, right? Maybe you're stuck in this holding pattern where you're at, not listening to how you feel, right? When we're talking about the intuition, yeah, we get those immediate, gut reactions, but beyond the gut reaction, the choices are being made from the point in time where you have that initial gut feeling. You start making choices that either are or aren't in alignment. And how you feel is a reflection of the choices that you've made, to let you know, hey, you did a great job listening to your intuition. This feels awesome. Or, hey, you could do a better job at listening to your intuition because this feels like crap. You don't like the way that you feel, right? Being in this anxiety and holding on to this anxiety, I find it really hard to believe that anybody would enjoy being in a state of anxiety, especially over wanting to create opportunity and feeling like you're not able to get anything off the ground, energetically speaking, whatever it is that you're trying to manifest for yourself, right? With the High Priestess in the reverse, where you are now is about tuning back in order to get out of that anxiety space, to remember that the divine is in fact with you, speaking to you through intuitive nudges, through those gut feelings, those things you kind of know, but don't necessarily like the thought of, but you're still being guided to it anyway. And the more you feel like crap and the more you aren't choosing in alignment with your intuition, the crappier it feels. So in the present, you might just be having a really hard time accepting that something has run its course and that you do have to strip yourself of it and get back down to the root of listening to your intuition and seizing opportunity through the clarity of your intuition and holding on to that clarity so that you can let go of the nightmare, right? The quote unquote nightmare that has become your energy. Now, the future cards I found really interesting because after I had shuffled the cards and done all that, I realized with the Idiot card, you get to draw another card. So I did. Got the Fool. The Fool allows you to draw another card. And I got the Rogue. And the top and bottom of the deck were the Throne and the Flames. Look at the Idiot card, right? He's got both of his hands covering his eyes. And then the Fool card that came after, the hand is slipping away and revealing the face so that the figure can see. So I don't think that these cards are literally your future. I think that these cards are giving you some insight into what you didn't see your future becoming. The Idiot loses intelligence, right? Which kind of makes sense because you were going through that beginner's mind, having to reset, thinking for yourself now. So in the future, it's almost like losing intelligence to gain wisdom. The Fool loses experience. You would have missed out, right? If you didn't mentally reset and start thinking for yourself and doing things in a way that works for you and not in a way that everybody taught you that it works, right? This is what you're supposed to do. This is what's expected of you. This is what makes you successful. This is what gives you value, right? This is what creates safety and security. If you didn't reset your thinking, what you didn't see is what experience you were actually going to lose out on, and the loss you would have taken in the experience of that path had you chosen to continue. The Rogue is about an NPC friend of yours who becomes hostile towards you. They were once a person that you relied on as a leader for guidance, for that safety, especially because we have the Throne. The Throne is about a keep. It's about a house. Your security or a living situation, right? Family situation, whatever it is, was being dangled in front of you by the Flames, which represents a devil. It represents the worst devil. And the words on its arms are coagula solvi, which literally means to break apart and put back together, which is where we started at with the Forge. What I don't think you realize is that going through this mental reset, had you not gone through the mental reset, you would have been pulled apart and put back together in a way that turned you into the very energy that you hate being in. That the devil would have pieced you back together in a way that best suited them. You would not have emerged as yourself. You would have been in this war, this battle with said person who declared you an enemy, who was once your friend, who was once your ally, once someone you trusted or looked up to, once someone you depended on, only to realize they were the very person holding you back. They would have shaped you into what they needed you to be, not what you needed you to be for you in your highest path. And I just thought that was really interesting, that the way the hands played a role on the cards, covering the eyes and then revealing. And Spirit kind of gave me that download as, you didn't see it, but this is what would have happened. So, getting into the other cards, we have the seed and the rings. Now, the seed and the rings is all about healthy environments, growing, having breakthroughs, the hardest part being over, and the healing taking root, right? Really coming into your golden era where you are loved and others are building you up and supporting who you're becoming, as well as long-term positive commitments, positive karmic reapings, divine order, and spreading reputation, success, defeating an unworthiness wound and dependency on others who were toxic to you. Literally what these cards mean. The future you could have had versus the future you're going to have, based on the reset you chose, based on the loss you took or losses. You are setting yourself up to reap huge positive energy through the roof, support through the roof, love through the roof, success through the roof. You are not unworthy of a better life, and you refused to bend or break or be pulled apart and put back together by some toxic ass person in your life. You said, I deserve better than that. I'm worth more than this. Spirit is so dang proud of you, because you see the truth. When we look at the Ace of Swords, it's clarified by the Seven of Pentacles and the Ten of Wands with the Eight of Wands and the World card. You are so clear, so crystal clear with the truth, that waiting around for positive results is fucking burden. It's burdensome. It is heavy on you. And you know intuitively now you're getting pinged to close out cycles like that. Anything where you have to wait, where you have to be told you can't have the reward. You have to carry these weights. The divine blessing isn't ready for you yet. You're not worthy of that blessing. You know the truth. And that cycle is over. You do not deserve to carry that kind of heavy weight on your soul, on your spirit, that your mental or your emotional would tank, that your finances wouldn't be what you want it to be. The Seven of Pentacles ain't shit energy. It ain't shit. Being burdened spiritually, dealing with energy, dealing with results that make you feel heavy and unworthy and undeserving. That's done. Spirit is moving you forward very quickly. The Eight of Wands is fast movement. Choices that you're making that are propelling you into a new chapter, a place of union within the self. The figure on the World card is really similar to the figure on the Strength card in the past. What you were reforging back then, using your strength to reforge yourself so that you could be clear now on what cycles need to end, because your strength has become your pillar. It has become your greatest support. Your strength is what has made you spiritually, structurally sound. And the doors you're opening now, the beautiful, abundant, lucky doors, the supportive doors that you are opening now, that stress and that weight and that unworthiness, you're not going to feel that anymore. Spirit needs you to know that. Spirit needed you to know. It needed someone to know that you made the right choice letting go. You made the right choice releasing whatever that toxic person or situation was. Even if you had a freaking meltdown over it. Even if you lost yourself. The only self you lost was the shadow. The stripped self. The shadow self. The wounded self, the undeserving self, that's the self you lost. The self that wore a happy face and tolerated when you were crying underneath. Desperate for your light underneath. It's like you took that mask off and just shattered it on the floor and said, "This, I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. This toxic situation, this toxic person who kept dangling stability in front of you. Well, this is your lifeline. You need this. You need me more than I need you." They kept holding it in front of you. And you were like, "F this. I don't need this." And even if you melted down, you were out. And Spirit is letting you know you made the right choice. And you needed to hear it. You needed to hear it. You made the right choice. Spirit has not guided me to do a reading outside of like my events in weeks. And it guided me today for you to know that you made the right choice. And that you don't have to worry about bullshit energy like that anymore. Because if you wouldn't tolerate it one more time from said person or situation, the next time you feel it, you're going to be like, "Fuck this, I'm out." The first ping you get, "I don't like this. I don't like this," you know it's just going to take you further and further and further and further and further into the dungeon until you break. And so you'll be out. You'll listen to your intuition now. "I don't like the way that felt. They said something that it just rubbed me wrong. I didn't like the way that felt." You won't ignore that anymore. That mannerism, that gesture, that tone of voice, that demeanor of, "I have something you need. Do what I need you to do to get it. And I'll just keep dangling this carrot in front of your nose, making you chase it, but never really letting you have it. Until you're so fucking exhausted, you break down. You're like, "No, I know where it's going. I know where it's going." From the first off feeling, you know where it's going. Do you understand how strong you are to be able to feel something off and be like, "I don't fucking care what it says or promises. I don't fucking care what it's offering. I don't like the way that felt. No, I'll figure out another way." I'll make it on my own another way. I'll manifest it another way. Where I know that my peace and my freedom to be myself and feel joy and security is not going to get compromised down the line, where my mental and my emotional health or my financial health isn't going to fucking tank because I depended on this person or this situation. No way. You're not choosing the roller coaster anymore. The roller coaster. You're like, nah, stability's good. Even if it's just a steady rise, I'll rise steady. The hell with this roller coaster. It's not fun. It's not a fun roller coaster. It's a nightmare. That is literally like watching people get on a roller coaster at an amusement park, and instead of people coming off like, oh my God, that was crazy, but awesome, blah, 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 they're literally terrified. And they're throwing up and they're sick. Or they're literally passing out mid-ride and dealing with injuries. And you're like, I don't know, maybe I'll go on that roller coaster too. Maybe it won't be a nightmare for me, even though it's been a nightmare for everybody else. You're like, nah, other people, they made it real clear. I see them coming off that ride sick and broken. I ain't going on that ride. Other people can choose it all day. They can stand in line for it all day. That's not the ride you're going on. You ain't beat. You're not going to ruin the rest of your time at the amusement park because everybody else is in line. The whole world is in line for misery. The whole world is in line for misery, except very few people. And you are one of the ones that figured it out. If you doubt that you're one of the ones that figured it out, what are the odds of you catching my video? The algorithm is not my friend. It is not my friend. And yet, you caught this video. Think about that. You chose for yourself. You chose right. You chose an alignment. And you will never forget. You will never forget the freedom that you felt the minute you made that choice. Even if your mind wanted to play games with you after, even if you melted down. The freedom you felt when you left that situation or left that person. That was the right choice. It was the best choice you could have possibly have made. Let's get into the guidance cards. We're gonna start with the bottom of the deck, which is Lost in Space, card number 36. It's feeling lost, needing direction and focus, a 24-hour day. It says sometimes in life we lose our way, perhaps falling prey to addictive behaviors, jealousy, comparison, resistance, or fear. This happens especially when we are up-leveling and genuinely changing for the better. A part of us, hiding in the vast expansiveness of space, wants to sabotage our progress. In the transformation process, our inner world no longer feels safe or inhabitable as we find that our thoughts and beliefs have morphed beyond recognition. You may find yourself adrift in this way right now, unable to focus or determine the next step. You might be tired and simply need to regroup and rest. When you lack direction, the first thing to do is redirect your perspective of time. Like a newborn baby who needs swaddling to feel safe, you're invited to reduce your life visioning to the next 24 hours. Anyone can handle living in a 24-hour compartment, which allows everything to feel grounded and manageable. You get lost in space when you imagine being swallowed up in the giant vastness of the future with its dark uncertainty, or reflect on how your past has held you captive in a prison of distorted, never-ending mirrors. I shit you not. Reminding you of your mistakes and flaws, failures and losses. Take heart that the simple 24-hour container immediately banishes those 2 awful eternities away. You will find your energy and focus restored as you recognize that you were never lost at all. Keep it simple. Right now, conserve your energy and take care of you in basic and fundamental ways. The world will be right again. That is lost in space. So where you're at right now, if you're still in that deep low, still in or coming out of that meltdown energy, and you just need to take care of yourself right now on a day-by-day basis, taking care of your mental, taking care of your emotional, taking care of your basic physical needs, making sure that you are eating, making sure that you are keeping up on small tasks like your laundry or the dishes or something. Just keeping up on a small task that makes you feel good that you completed it because it is better now that it's done. Maybe you took the dog out for a walk today instead of someone else doing it. Maybe you decided you were going to cook dinner. Maybe you haven't done it in a while. Do something for yourself every day that is good for your mental, that is good for your emotional state, that helps you start to rebuild the pieces that were torn apart the way you want them put back together. Okay? Lost in space, take it day by day. Do something positive for yourself and your energy in your life every day, no matter how small. Get plenty rest, plenty of it. Do not guilt yourself out of resting. Okay? No more giving yourself a hard time. You done did that enough. You done did it enough already. Okay? Enjoy recovery, because that's exactly what this is. A tidy house. Card number 1. Clarity and organization. A thorough inventory. And an auspicious symbol. If your emotional world feels messy and unruly, and you can't seem to get clear, it's time to see how your environment is affecting you. Although your inner world has a huge impact on what shows up in your outer world, the reverse is also true. You can be influenced by the people who populate your daily life and the energy of the objects that you surround yourself with. Basically, everything and anything in your surroundings can affect your energy. Now is the time for an inventory and full clearing of anything and anyone in your environment that is messy. Ask for clarity from your relationships and do not make assumptions at this time. Clear and unambiguous communication is key. You may choose to let some people go from your life when this shows up, and this is a good thing. Otherwise, you might stay in these relationship patterns too long out of a sense of obligation and social courtesy, when in truth, there is nothing holding you together. Be impeccable with your word. Say what you mean, and be willing to make whatever changes are necessary to clean up your side of the street. If you know you are doing the right thing because it feels right, it doesn't matter who has an opinion. That said, right now, once you are sure your proverbial house is a tidy one, There is a release of energy to begin new things, to enjoy life, and to know with certainty you are on the right path. This is about cleaning up. This is about cleaning up. You took yourself out of a toxic dynamic or situation or environment, and now it is time to clean up your immediate environment, your everyday life, the people in it. If the people in your life are a mental mess, an emotional mess, they're not good for your energy to be around. They're not good for your energy to be around. Their energy is tanked. It's a mess. And we are spiritual beings connected to each other. And proximity, you will feel it. You will feel it. If you've got a mess in your garage or your porch, or you've got laundry that's been piled up for a while, your kitchen needs to be organized because there's shit all over the kitchen table. Do yourself a favor and clean your environment. Organize it. Go through things you haven't looked at in a while. If it's holding old energy, let it go. If you share a house with other people, focus on the stuff that you can organize. And to the messy people and the messy energy, if they are cluttering up your energetic space, literally or metaphorically, spiritually, maybe it is time to address it, unapologetically so. Clear and unambiguous communication is key. Let yourself be really clear on what works for you and what doesn't work for you. If it doesn't work for you, address it. That is the least you can do for yourself, is address it. And watch things improve. Watch the mess leave. And that great feeling that you felt when you left that devil energy, that freedom you felt when it was no longer a part of your experience, you will feel that relief every single time the mess gets cleaned out. That is the guidance. I hope that this message has served you so well, because you deserve all of the best things. You deserve all the peace and all the security and the freedom. You deserve all of that stuff. And for what you put yourself through in your healing process, the stripping of yourself, the victim storyline that's over now, you really do deserve all the best things. You took a hard-ass route, picked a hard-ass lifetime, and you could have failed, you could have gave in, you could have buckled, you could have shredded yourself and disappeared in the shadow. And you didn't. And you didn't. And I don't think you realize how rare that is. I don't think you realize how rare that is. You deserve this acknowledgement. And that's why Spirit gave it to you. All right, much love and support and blessings and peace and wonderfulness to you. Keep choosing you. Okay? And as promised, I am going to go over the events coming up. We have a Thanksgiving Day event. We have a winter solstice event and a New Year's Eve event. And they're all going to be done secret code name style. So for those of you not familiar with the secret code names, They're purchased by individuals in my Etsy shop. They're personal readings with me. And when you get one, you are given a secret code name so that you know which reading is yours, your personal reading. But anybody who is drawn to the secret code name, something about the secret code name stands out to them, there's likely a message in there for them too. Whether it's just one thing I say that just, clicks, and they're like, that's why Spirit guided me to that message, or if it's the whole message in its entirety. Because the beauty of being connected is when one person chooses to heal, that ripples. That ripples. And for every person that is touched by your reading, who is helped by your reading in some way, that's your ripple. That's your glory of light and spirit, of your healing process. And we're going to be going over a few different things with these reads. So the Thanksgiving Day reading, I believe it is November 27th. We're going to be doing whatever Spirit feels is most important to talk to you about. Whatever is the most urgent energy that you need to become aware of in that moment moving forward, so that you can find gratitude, right? Thanksgiving Day is truly all about gratitude. And that is exactly what these readings are going to be focusing on. What energy do you need to be aware of right now that is more important than anything else, so that you can really feel this sense of eternal gratitude? The winter solstice readings are a coming out of the dark night energy. For those of you who don't know what the winter solstice is, it is the darkest night of the year, which means every night after that gets progressively shorter. The days get longer every single day from the winter solstice on, leading up to, the summer solstice. Coming out of the dark night, we are going to really dive deep into the progress or the progression of where you are now, whatever level of shadow that is, and how it is getting progressively lighter as you continue over the next 6 months, and the guidance that you need in order to make the most of this brightening, right? This spiritual brightening process. The New Year's Eve reads are going to be 12-month insights. So we're going to be going over month by month what is going to be coming up for you in the 2026 year. Okay? Those are going to be the 3 events. So we're going to get real deep into where you are and what is most important so that you can find a place of gratitude with yourself in life. We're going to go over what your brightening process looks like, no matter what level of shadow you're on, whether you're balls deep in shadow, up to your neck in shadow, or if you're essentially out of shadow. We're going to talk about the process of brightening from here and what that process looks like in a general 6-month window. And then New Year's Eve, we're going to do a 12-month, month-by-month breakdown. So if you are interested in one or all of those events, they do have individual prices if you just like one of them. There is an early bird bundle going on right now until the 17th. And after that, there will be a different bundle. It won't be quite as discounted, but we'll still have a bundle up there until the day before the first event. Once the first event airs, the bundles will disappear. You'll just be able to get, the last 2 events. So if you would like to get one, my Etsy shop is in the description. You will be able to find them there. It does have a special events thumbnail on it, so you guys will see it. And you'll find, other cool things in the shop that I offer, like the moon event readings, personal readings, intention candles, and all that stuff. So I love you guys. Thanks for sticking around to the end. If you have, make sure, if you haven't already, smash the like button, leave me comments, let me know if this reading really spoke to you in some way. and helped you feel good about the choice you made to free yourself, because that's exactly what you did. Many blessings, everybody, and I will catch you next time. Bye.